Welcome to TV3. On this week's episode, we'll be taking a look at a girl, a boy, a robot, and a legion of other things. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who attended and even said hi to me over at the Ontario Collectors Convention. This past weekend here in Mississauga, Ontario, there was the one-day toy show. It was a lot of fun, met a lot of cool people, saw a lot of neat toys, and I even bought a few things for myself. If you're in the area but you never got a chance to make it out to this event, don't worry, there's always another one in a couple of months' time, and I hope to see you there. First up in the news is a new Figma release from the people over at Good Smile, and they have shown off their Figma Mume. This is from the anime series Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. I enjoyed the anime. I will admit that towards the end I was a bit tired of it and I wanted to just stop watching, but thankfully it came to a close after about 13 episodes. There's one thing that was great about the show, it was the animation and the art style, and it really shone when this girl was in action because she was clearly the badass of the series. She's kind of like Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan, only 1,000 times cooler because she has a pair of guns and she could still do some awesome acrobatics and combat maneuvers. I think the Figma itself looks pretty good. Comes with everything you could want it to come with. It even has a cloak that you could put on her. There's two different sets of heads to show one with the armor on, with the armor off. Looks really great. The only thing I will say about this is that it is expensive. It's going to be about 8,000 yen. So do the conversion for your local currency. No matter which way you cut it, that's a lot of money, especially for a Figma. I mean, I know Figmas nowadays are getting pretty pricey, but this is a little crazy. So I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's all the accessories. Maybe it's because it has a really elaborate sculpt to it. I'm on the fence on it. It will be released in August, sometime this year, so still plenty of time to think about it, but yeah, a bit pricey. If it were cheaper, this would be a no-brainer, an instant buy for me, but at its current price, I'm gonna have to just really think about it. Next up, we have a figure from Dragon Ball, and this is the SH Figuarts Nappa. And the only reason I'm putting this here is because it's kind of showing or confirming that Bandai are going to release this figure. And it's going to be released in August for about 6,000 yen, and it looks like a cool figure. You know, the Dragon Ball stuff from SH Figuarts are top notch. I think they're all really great toys. A little overpriced, but hey, that's what can you do? This is it's a popular series and they're gonna sell, so it doesn't really matter what they charge for them. But the reason I'm putting this in here is because they originally showed this figure off many years ago, and everyone thought that, like, you know, it was just Bandai being Bandai, and they're just teasing, and they're not really going to release it. But hey, it's taken a very long time, but it's coming and being released. Now, the thing is, when they showed off this figure originally, they showed off another figure, and that's the one that I was actually more hoping for, and that was the original Goku in his sort of blue suit on Nimbus with the power pole. Now, I like Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball is sort of where it is for me, and I would love nothing more than a little Goku and a young Bulma for my pure 100% Dragon Ball display. Like, that's all I want. And I remember when they showed off this Nappa, they showed off some Dragon Ball figures. And so this sort of gives me hope that, hey, it's taken a while. Nappa's coming out. Surely can't be long before we see a young Goku. Over in Gundam news, we finally got official shots of the Gundam Bael in both the high grade and the 1:100 scale. I'm only going to focus on the 1:100 scale one because, let's face it, that's the only one that really matters. And that kind of goes for all the IBO stuff. I mean, unless you just really don't like the size, there's no reason not to get the 1:100 scale stuff because they just give you the better product. And it's looking good. It looks pretty great. From everything I'm seeing on here, it doesn't look like this is a kit that's going to call for a lot of stickers. I mean, yes, it's going to need it in the eyes and the logo on the shoulder, and probably the black little vented area on the wing pack. But otherwise, I think it looks like a pretty simple build. Now, the official photos show it with a lot of heavy black panel lining. I'm not really too sold or too in favor of heavy dark black lines anymore, so this looks like it's a bit overdone to me. But I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there who like that heavy contrast look. I'll probably go for something a little lighter when I get one myself, maybe and change up some of the colors. But yeah, the kit's looking good. Shame it comes out in March. It feels like ages away from now, but otherwise, yeah, it's a looker. All right, they also have the box art out for the 1:100 scale Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex. Looks like cool box art. Box art's never really been a big thing for me. I appreciate a good piece of art, but this is supposed to sell me a toy that's inside, and I know the toy won't look anything like the art. Nice thing is these are coming with stands, which I bet this kit's going to need because that giant mace will probably give it a ton of weight balance issues. But hey, that's nice. And finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about is a Kickstarter release from the Four Horsemen. They are doing their Mythic Legions 2.0. Now, if you're not aware of the Four Horsemen, they originally did the birds. I think they were called the Ravens. They were like bird-like warriors. Those were cool. And then they came out with Mythic Legions, which is essentially fantasy-inspired action figures. So you had, goblins and knights and monsters and whatnot. And it looked really cool. I really wanted to get on the original Mythic Legions. I especially wanted, I think it was Owain, Sir Owain. He was like a knight with a simple sword. I just, you guys know me, I like knights, so that was cool. But I never ended up going in on it just because I can't tell you why. I just know I didn't. So that's that. But 2.0 is here, and they have more characters to add to their little series here. But the most important thing that they've done is they've given female bodies, and that's kind of, I think that's sort of the big deal here. Like that's the whole point of the 2.0. Now we have some female bodies, and you know what I like more than a knight? A female knight. And I'm looking through this Kickstarter, and I think I'm going to take the plunge. I really, really like just the basic Iron Knight builder. I think that looks great. It reminds me of one of the characters I built for one of my Dark Souls runs. It looks really neat. As for the actual, premium painted ones, Gwendolyn is probably the one I'm going to go for. I really love the color scheme of gold and purple. She just looks super regal. And with a name like Gwendolyn Heavensbrand, I mean, how could she not be? So that looks neat. And the last thing there that I thought could have been an option was I believe it was the Deluxe, yes, the Deluxe Knight Builder Set 2. This is essentially a female knight with all the accessories and such. This is probably the one that I like the look of the most, but to be honest, I just don't know if I'm going to use all the stuff it comes with, and I don't know if I want to pay for that because while the pricing seems reasonable, if you are international like I am, then the jump in price is massive. I mean, so that's just something to look out for. But yeah, no, I think this is a very cool Kickstarter. The Four Horsemen, they're a proven team. They've been in the industry for a while. Anything they put out generally, it's pretty quality stuff. But otherwise, yeah, I'll probably end up going in on a couple of these. At the top of the show, I did mention going to the Ontario Collectors Convention this past weekend, and while I was there, I did pick up a couple things. First up is this, and it is the Destiny Mega Bloks micro action figure of the Titan Sunbreaker edition. I don't actually know where this is from. I know it was either a store exclusive or some sort of promotional item. I'm not entirely sure. Long story short is, I like the way it looks. It's like this clear orange micro action figure. And one of my friends had a table and he was selling them. And I asked him how much, and he just said, hey, you could just have it. So thank you to you, Matrix holder. Thanks for this. I'm going to put it in my Arcadia jump jet, and it's going to live there forever because I think it looks awesome. The only other item I picked up was this bad boy, and it is the Mastermind Creations R15 reformatted Jaegertron, or I believe it is their homage to Lockdown. I don't know if it's designed off of a specific Lockdown or if it's a combination of the movie aesthetic and the Transformers IDW comics. Regardless, it is a interesting toy. It's large and it's black, and I'll show you what it looks like. This is it. He is right here. You can tell he's about Voyager size. He comes with a lot of stuff. Too much stuff, actually. In fact, one of my pet peeves is when you can't store all the accessories on a figure in all modes, and you can't do that with this. But, I mean, he looks cool. If I had to give you a thought about this figure, I would say that it is good, but it is completely unremarkable in any way possible. It is kind of just like, oh, hey, that's a transforming robot who is completely who just, he does everything you'd expect him to do, but he does it okay, but there's nothing about this toy that makes you go, wow, you need that. If you like the look, you'll like the toy. I honestly think he has like this huge backpack, and it's kind of intrusive in certain ways, but he's a nice display figure. I will say he probably has the coolest alt mode I've ever seen on any third-party Transformer. It's just this black spaceship, and it looks evil and fast and awesome. It almost looks like a villain race craft from F-Zero, and I think that's why I like it. Neat toy. I also continued to build out my LEGO Nexonite stuff, so I made an order at lego.com, and if you buy a Nexonite, you get one of these. It's a small little poly bag of the Nitron Rider. I haven't built it yet, obviously, but it's cool. You get a little minifig to, build out your castle, so you have more people there, and you have a small little bike thing, so that's fun. Speaking of people to build up my castle, I got the Army Builder set because, I don't know, I feel like, I have the knights, but people gotta live in this castle, people have to man the turrets and stations, and it was on sale, so why not? You could always use more people to fill out your little fortress. And the last piece of the fortress was this. This is Murloc's Library 2.0. I built this already. And essentially, it is another tower, and it combines with the fortress to create a larger tower, or a larger castle. I will totally admit, do not buy this set on its own, because it is awful. This is something you buy when you already have the fortress, because it is completely just an add-on. But yeah, it's neat. It comes with a little tower that houses a special book, so that's fun. And finally, the last thing I picked up was this, the Marvel Legends Black Suit Spider-Man. I love the Black Suit Spider-Man. I would say that Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel superhero. Always has been since I was a kid. And my 3 favorite suits are the Black Suit Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider-Man, with the hoodie, and the last one, and my most favorite, is Armored Spider-Man. I'm talking about the black and silver one. I'm actually really excited to get this and play with this because, Marvel Legends has made a lot of Spider-Man toys in recent years. There's been a lot. There's a lot that uses this buck, but I've never experienced this buck before, and I've only heard great things, so I'm pretty hyped to get it. A part of me does regret not picking up Pizza Spider-Man from way back when it was on the shelves, but that's okay. Black Suit's where it's at, and that's the one I got. It's time for the feedback portion of the show, and the first comment asks, Type V3, are you into Ultra Act Ultramen? If so, who is your favorite? No, sadly, I'm not a fan of Ultraman. I'm not even, I'm not the biggest Tokusatsu fan. I enjoy the little that I do watch, but Ultraman has never really been something I was into, and I honestly don't know why. Ultraman seems cool. The closest thing that I'm into in regards to Ultraman was Gridman, but I didn't even like Gridman. I liked the American counterpart, Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. That was my jam growing up. I would say, I would like that. Maybe only second to Power Rangers, but I love Gridman. Love Gridman. I bought that Ultra Act, and boy did the wrists snap on that. I hated it. Oh, and don't even get me started on the armor sets, which were complete junk. G Gundam Custom wants to know if I ever make custom Gunpla, and if so, am I ever going to do reviews on them? Well, first of all, no, I don't really make custom Gundams that often. I just don't have the time. I think if Gundam were my only hobby, I mean like they were the only thing I collected, and I didn't play video games, and I wasn't super into cycling or watching anime, then totally I would be more into making custom Gundams because I'd have more time to fill. But even if I did make custom ones, I don't know if I would review them. I think reviewing my own work would be a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I don't want to say pointless, but I mean, you can't really review your own work. I mean, if you're asking if I ever made a custom, would I film it and then just share with you my thoughts and ideas on it and how the process, totally, that's fair game, but I wouldn't review it. I think that's just a bit strange to review your own work. All right, next question is about Play Arts Kai, if I have any plans on getting into them, and if so, which would be my first purchase. So, I don't really like Play Arts Kai. I think Play Arts Kai as a display piece, and generally for value, they're pretty cool because you get around, a 9-10 inch figure. They're usually about a little over $100, and you get something that's generally super displayable, and if you want, you can change up the pose. But for their size, and the amount of articulation they have, I think they're really poor action figures. They're not that great. I won't deny that their finishes and again, their visual quality is great, but they're not really things I'm into. I do have one, and that was the Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Yeah, the Tomb Raider reboot, and that's because it came with the game. Like, it was the limited edition that came with it, and it was a super cheap way to get Lara Croft. So, and I think that toy is cool for what it is. But no, Player's Kai is just not something I'm super into. I won't. I think if I were to get into them, I would definitely go for the Square Enix video game stuff, because, you know, when Square tackles other properties like Marvel or DC, they have their variants line, and they've done like the Star Trek stuff, and they always look a little off. But when it comes to proper Square Enix properties, they look immaculate. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the Final Fantasy VII stuff or the Kingdom Hearts stuff. They look incredible. I believe I do have a pre-order down on the cloud for the Final Fantasy VII reboot. I don't know if I'll keep it, but I mean, it looked like a cool toy, so yeah, that would probably be my only interest there. Max wants to know, how do I weather my kits? Pretty simple. Tamiya weathering master sets. I take those, I take a cotton swab, and then I apply it as I see fit. I can't really say anything else other than that. I mean, it's like with panel lining or painting. Use to your own discretion, use to what you think would look cool. It's a pretty simple process. It actually works a lot like makeup. It's like if you've ever handled eyeliner or not eyeliner, sorry, eyeshadow. It's the same thing. In fact, you don't even need Tamiya Weather Master sets. Eyeshadow is the way to go, because eyeshadow opens the doors to all these incredible colors that you can use. And then you just take a cotton swab, and then you just go up to the edges of your Gundam kits and just apply it like that. That's all I do. It's pretty simple. Hey V3, I was wondering if you could make a video on your methods for toy maintenance. How do you prevent and remove dust from your figures? Well, first of all, prevention is probably the number one thing you want to look at, and to do that, you gotta put it in an enclosed space. It doesn't need to be super enclosed, but enclosed enough that it's just not out there where regular airflow can get in there. You know, a lot of people just like putting stuff on bookshelves. I like putting stuff on bookshelves because it's a lot easier just to have it there. But with bookshelves, you have an open space on the front, and that just means that every time you walk by it, every time that, let's say, you open a door to that room, you know, air comes in, and with air comes dust, and that just easily gets all over everything. I found that everything that I put in glass cabinets, they collect dust way slower, like way slower. I don't have to dust as much. And in terms of removing dust, the best way and the most, but least economical way, is to get a can of compressed air. And this way you could just spray it onto like the small little cracks or not cracks, but little spaces that are hard to reach with a dust feather or whatnot. Otherwise, yeah, you could just take a really, really delicate feather duster and just wipe it down. You could take a cloth and wipe it down as well, or the compressed air, whatever you want. Everyone has different methods. You just got to find one that works for yourself. But that's all for this episode of TV3. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you thought that the news section was a little bit lacking, well, don't worry. Toy Fair and Winter Wonder Festival are this month, so expect a lot of new toy reveals and announcements to happen shortly. Otherwise, if you are here in Canada, remember that it is Roll Up the Rim to Win season at Tim Hortons, so get out there and buy your coffees, and hopefully you get something nice. I'm currently 3 for 3. I've gotten 3 donuts, and those have been delicious, but I definitely need to stop eating sugar because I'm getting fat. Alright, see you guys next week.